Today, I want to speak to you about a simple but powerful truth. Not everyone deserves to hear your pain. Life is full of challenges. Troubles rise and fall like crashing waves, and in those moments of weakness, we often feel the urge to talk, to vent, to share. But what we think will bring us peace can sometimes leave us feeling more exposed, more drained. Running from person to person, telling them your problems doesn't always bring healing. In fact, it can quietly rob you of your strength. People have their own battles, their own hidden weight, and though they may care, most can only give you part of their attention. Some will listen for a while, then turn away. Others may judge, and a few, sadly, may use your words against you. That's why our faith teaches us something far more powerful. Turn to Allah first. Before you reach for your phone or send that long message, pause. Take your worries to the one who never gets tired of hearing from you. Pour out your heart in dua, in sujood, in silence, because He is the only one who truly understands every part of your struggle. Allah says in the Quran, "Call upon me, and I will respond to you." This is not just a promise, it's an invitation. While people may grow tired or distracted, Allah never turns away. He listens, He responds, and He heals. When you place your pain in His hands, you don't just find relief, you begin to feel held, safe, guided. This doesn't mean you must carry everything alone. It means you start with the one who knows you best. And from there, you'll be shown who is truly worthy of your trust. So today, I invite you, stop seeking comfort in people before turning to your Creator. Let Allah be the first to hear your sorrow, your confusion, your silent tears. Because when you trust Him first, you gain a peace that no human voice can provide. When your heart is heavy, it's natural to want someone to talk to. We often think that sharing our problems will ease the burden, and sometimes it does. But more often than not, telling people your struggles brings consequences you didn't expect and pain you didn't ask for. Some people will judge you. Even if their face is kind, their mind is measuring your choices. Why didn't you do this? If I were in your place, I'd have done better. Their words may not say it outright, but their energy will. And instead of feeling supported, you leave the conversation questioning yourself, second-guessing your strength. Others will pity you. They'll treat you gently, too gently, as if you're fragile and incapable. At first, it feels like care, but soon you realize they no longer see you as strong. They speak to you like someone broken, not brave. And that kind of pity can slowly trap you, keeping you in a place you were trying to rise from. And sometimes your story becomes someone else's gossip. What you shared in trust gets passed around, maybe twisted, maybe exaggerated, but no longer yours. Even if they didn't mean harm, your vulnerability is now public, and the pain multiplies. This is why we're reminded in the Quran, and put your trust in Allah, sufficient is He as disposer of affairs. You were never meant to throw your heart at every open ear. Not everyone is safe, not everyone understands, and not everyone wants to help. That doesn't mean you must stay silent forever, but it means you need to be wise. Learn to recognize who is sincere and who is simply curious. Before you speak, pause. Ask yourself, have I shared this with Allah yet? If the answer is no, then you're turning to people before the one who actually holds the solution. Let Him be your first listener. He won't judge, He won't belittle. and He'll never break your trust. Start there. Always start there. There's wisdom in being open, but there's also wisdom in being selective. We live in a time where vulnerability is often celebrated without caution, but not every heart is safe, and not every listener is loyal. Being too open with the wrong people can leave you feeling more hurt than healed. Some people don't ask because they care, they ask because they're curious. They'll nod, they'll listen, and maybe even seem supportive. But later, your story is no longer yours. It becomes a piece of conversation at someone else's table. Sometimes exaggerated, sometimes twisted, but always out of your control. And you can't rewind trust once it's been broken. Others may genuinely care, but they still mishandle your emotions. They might offer shallow advice that doesn't apply to your situation. Or they speak too quickly, assuming they know what you need. And when their words don't land, you feel misunderstood, maybe even foolish for opening up at all. Then there are those who pity you, and not in a way that uplifts. They lower their expectations of you, speak to you like you're weak, and start treating you differently. What began as an honest moment turns into a shift in how they see you. You're no longer strong in their eyes, only wounded. That's why the Prophet ﷺ taught us to protect our private affairs. In Islam, hifdat, azsar, guarding one's secrets is not weakness, it's wisdom. Your pain is sacred. Your story deserves dignity. You don't owe your deepest emotions to anyone who hasn't earned your trust with their character, not just their words. This doesn't mean you isolate yourself or bottle everything inside. It means you turn to Allah first, always. And then you share with those who are trustworthy, wise, and spiritually grounded. Those who won't just listen but hold your story gently without turning it into a headline. Remember, just because someone is available to hear you doesn't mean they're worthy of knowing your heart. Guard it, protect it. And when you do share, do so with care, not out of desperation, but from a place of clarity and trust in Allah. Even the kindest people, the ones who love you deeply, can fall short when you need them most. Not because they don't care, but because they're human. And humans have limits. They get tired, they get distracted. They carry their own quiet battles, and sometimes they just don't know how to help you. You may open your heart hoping to feel lighter, but instead you walk away with the same weight, maybe even more. Their silence hurts. Their advice misses the point. Their eyes seem distant. And you wonder, was I wrong to share this? That moment stings not because they're bad people, but because they couldn't meet you in the depth of what you were feeling. Even when someone wants to support you, their understanding is shaped by their own experiences. What made sense in their life might not apply to yours. Their words, though well-meant, can feel disconnected or even dismissive. And then comes the emptiness when you realize that the support you needed isn't something they're able to give. That's why your ultimate refuge must be with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because only He understands your emotions without you explaining them. Only He sees the entire picture, not just the part you've shared. And only He can provide the exact help your soul needs. Allah says in the Quran, "Is not Allah sufficient for His servant?" It's a question that answers itself. Because when human help runs out, divine help begins. So don't be bitter when people fall short. Don't let their silence shake your worth. They're not your saviors, they're just companions on the journey. Turn to them if needed, but lean on Allah alone. He is always present, always listening, always able, And when you truly place your trust in Him, you'll find a new kind of strength, not one that depends on people, but one that flows directly from the source of all mercy. That's where your peace lives. Not in being understood by everyone, but in being fully known by the one who created you. Peace doesn't always come when problems are solved. Sometimes it comes when the heart finally lets go, when you stop trying to control every outcome, fix every detail, and carry every burden alone. Real peace begins the moment you say, Ya Allah, I trust you more than I fear what's happening. We live in a world that teaches us to hustle, to plan, to always stay in control. But life constantly reminds us, control is an illusion. You can do everything right and still face things you never expected. That's why trusting Allah isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's saying, I'll do my part and I'll leave the rest to the one who knows everything. Allah promises us in the Quran, and whoever puts their trust in Allah, He is sufficient for them. Not maybe sufficient, not sometimes sufficient, always sufficient. When you truly trust Him, the pressure softens, the fear begins to quiet. You realize that you don't have to know everything because you trust the one who does. That kind of surrender is not passive, it's powerful. It allows you to move forward without panic, without desperation, and without the need for constant reassurance from others. Tawakkul doesn't mean you stop trying. It means you try without the anxiety of needing to control the outcome. It means you work hard, make dua, take your steps, and then rest your heart with Allah. Whatever happens next, you know it's either a blessing or a hidden mercy. And when you feel that trust deep in your bones, something beautiful happens. The noise of the world grows quieter. People's opinions lose their grip. Delays don't shake you. Loss doesn't break you. Because your heart is anchored in the one who never disappoints. So if your soul is tired, let go. Not of effort, but of control. Trust that Allah sees what you don't, knows what you can't, and will never abandon the one who places their trust in Him completely. That's where real peace begins, not when life is perfect, but when your heart stops resisting and starts relying on Allah. Not every person deserves access to your inner world. Your emotions, your worries, your personal struggles, these are not small things. They are sacred. And just like you wouldn't hand your house keys to a stranger, you shouldn't hand your heart to someone who hasn't earned your trust. Too often, we open up to whoever is nearby. Maybe because we're overwhelmed. Maybe because we're looking for comfort. But not every listener is safe. Some people are kind in the moment, but careless with your words afterward. Some will smile while you speak, only to turn your pain into a private story shared with others. Islam teaches us to protect our secrets as sirah, especially when those secrets involve pain, shame, or vulnerability. This doesn't mean you isolate yourself. It means you discern. You choose carefully. You share slowly. You test someone's loyalty before handing them your trust. The Prophet ﷺ once said, a believer is not stung from the same hole twice. Meaning, if someone has shown they can't handle your truth with care, don't go back and give them more of it. Forgiveness is beautiful, but wisdom is required too. There's also a balance to find. Some people shut everyone out, never sharing at all. That too can become a heavy prison. Allah created us for connection. There's nothing wrong with seeking support, but the key is to confide in those who are trustworthy, spiritually grounded, and capable of carrying what you share with honor and privacy. And even then, even with those you trust, your first confidant should always be Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Pour your heart out in sujood. Tell him what you told no one else. Let him be the one who knows everything, so that even if the world misunderstands you, you are still understood. People can offer support, but only Allah can offer healing. So when you do share, don't seek validation. Seek clarity. Seek comfort. Seek help with wisdom and boundaries. Because your heart is valuable. Your story matters. And the people who are worthy of your trust will prove it, not just with their words, but with their silence. One of the deepest wounds is not caused by hardship itself, but by those who take your vulnerability and use it against you. You trusted them, you shared your story. You let them see a piece of your soul, and then they turned it into a weapon. Some may do it openly with sarcasm or cold reminders of what you once revealed. Others are more subtle, quiet conversations behind your back, small shifts in their tone, the lingering sense that they now see you differently, not stronger for surviving, but weaker for having suffered. And suddenly, the safe space you thought you had feels cold and unsafe. It's painful. But it's also a wake-up call, not to harden your heart, but to redirect it. When you realize that people can misuse your honesty, you learn the value of privacy. You learn that emotional modesty, just like physical modesty, is a form of self-respect and protection. The Prophet ﷺ lived this wisdom. He was open when necessary, but he also kept many matters of the heart between himself and Allah. He never needed validation from people, and neither do you. Allah says, "And put your trust in the ever-living, the one who does not die." Unlike people, Allah never grows tired of listening. He never misjudges you. He never takes your words and turns them into whispers in someone else's ear. What you say to him stays between you and him, sealed in mercy. And if someone has ever taken your pain and used it against you, don't let that moment define your future. Don't let it make you bitter. Let it make you wiser. Let it teach you the beauty of turning first to the one who never betrays. You are not foolish for trusting, but now you're stronger for knowing when to guard your heart. Forgive those who failed you, not because they deserve it, but because your peace matters more. And then move forward with grace, trusting that Allah sees all, knows all, and will never let your pain go to waste. Before you speak to anyone else, speak to Allah. Before you pick up your phone, open a chat, or call a friend, pause, take a breath, lower your gaze, and lift your heart to the one who never ignores it. You don't need the perfect words. You don't need eloquence, just sincerity. Just faith. Because there is no better listener than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. People can nod along, they might even care. But only Allah can see what you're not saying, the part of your pain that even you don't understand. The tightness in your chest, the weight in your bones, the thoughts that keep looping in your mind at 2 a.m. He knows it all, even before you whisper it. In the Quran, Allah tells us, "Call upon me, I will respond to you." This is not a possibility. It's a promise. So talk to him in your language, in your tears, in your silence. Tell him what you need. Tell him what scares you. Tell him what you can't tell anyone else. Pour it all out in sujood, in dua, in the quiet moments before sleep. Let it be raw. Let it be real. Because when you make Allah your first confidant, something powerful happens. You're no longer desperate for people to understand you. You don't need everyone's advice, sympathy, or approval. You begin to walk with a heart that is anchored not in human support, but in divine love. And here's the secret. Once you give your burdens to Allah first, He will guide you to the right people if you're meant to share. He will protect your story from those who would misuse it. And He will send you comfort in ways you never expected. So start there. Not with people, not with platforms, not with noise. Start with the one who is closer to you than your own heartbeat. Your first words belong to Him. And when they do, everything else begins to fall into place. There's a difference between being heard and being healed. Many people will offer you comfort, but not all of it is meaningful. Some will say kind words, send warm messages, or give quick advice. And while their intentions may be good, their comfort often fades as quickly as it came. That's because real support goes deeper than surface level sympathy. It shows up not just with words, but with presence, patience, and wisdom. It doesn't rush your healing. It doesn't say you'll be fine just to end the conversation. Real support sits with you in your silence. It listens without judgment. It honors your journey without trying to fix you. But shallow comfort, it's everywhere. It's the stay strong messages with no follow-up. It's the people who seem engaged for a moment only to disappear when the weight of your pain becomes inconvenient. It's advice that's more about their perspective than your situation. And in the end, you're left feeling even more alone. This is why Islam encourages us to be people of depth, not just for others, but also in how we seek support. Allah tells us to build our strength through Him, first and foremost. And then, with discernment, to find those whose hearts are rooted in sincerity and compassion. The Prophet ﷺ was surrounded by people, but he always began with Allah. And when he needed someone from creation, he chose those who were spiritually mature, emotionally wise, and genuinely present. That's real support. And that's what we should seek and strive to become. But even then, we must remember, no one can give you what only Allah can. People can walk beside you, but only Allah can carry what your heart is too tired to hold. So be grateful for sincere companions. Cherish those who stay with you through difficulty, but never confuse human kindness with divine healing. One may comfort you for a moment, the other transforms you for life. Let people be a blessing, not a replacement for the peace that only Allah can provide. And when you feel overwhelmed, return to the source. Always, always return to Him. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing. Not because you're weak, not because you have nothing to say, but because your silence is a choice, a form of inner strength, rooted in trust, not fear. Silence is not the absence of words. It's the presence of wisdom. When the heart is heavy and the world seems deaf to your cries, there is a sacred power in turning inward, in guarding your emotions, preserving your energy, and lifting your pain to Allah alone. This isn't passive. It's sabr, beautiful patience. And sabr is not about suppressing what hurts. It's about knowing where to place it. The Prophet ﷺ endured heartbreak, betrayal, and immense loss, and yet often responded with dignified silence. Not everything needs to be said aloud. Not every battle is worth fighting in public. Not every tear needs a witness, except Allah. Allah says in the Quran, indeed, Allah is with the patient. He is with them, not just watching over them, but accompanying them. That presence is enough. And when you choose silence in moments when your ego wants to speak, that's strength. When you hold back from complaining just to gain sympathy, that's discipline. When you carry your burden quietly because you trust Allah to unfold it in the best way, that's faith. But let's be clear, Sabr isn't suffering in silence for the sake of pride. It's waiting with hope, enduring with purpose, and trusting with love. There will be times when your silence feels lonely, but you are never truly alone. In those quiet moments, angels record your restraint, your tears are counted, and your patience is elevated. You may not be speaking to the world, but your soul is in conversation with the one who hears all. So don't be afraid to grow in silence, to heal in private, to wait without noise. Because some of your most beautiful transformations will happen not through words, but through sabr. O Allah, the turner of hearts, make our hearts firm upon your remembrance. When the world turns away, be our comfort. When our hearts are heavy, be our peace. When words fall short, let our silence reach you. Ya Allah, teach us to rely on you before anyone else, and to find in you the strength that no one else can give. Grant us sabr in every storm and serenity in every silence. If you felt something in your heart while listening, don't just scroll away. Maybe someone else needs this reminder too. Share it quietly, like a small act of care. And if you're holding something heavy right now, just write, Ya Allah, I trust you in the comments. Not for likes, not for attention, but as your first step toward healing. I'm praying for you. And I hope you keep praying for yourself too. Until next time, take care of your heart and trust the one who created it.